Tonight, the Atlantic Sharks girls basketball team returns to their home floor at the Shark Tank for the first time in 7 days. Their reward, one of the top teams in the state, a team with only one loss this season and a legitimate state championship contender. The Mainland Lady Buccaneers have appeared on the horizon with their cannons aimed at their 6th win in a row and 14th on the season. Hello and a very warm welcome to tonight's broadcast of Atlantic High School Athletics on MJT Sports Productions. My name is Michael Trubillo. Thank you so much for joining me on this January Friday night, live from courtside here at Atlantic High School. The Atlantic Sharks girls basketball team comes into tonight's contest with a record of 7-4 after going 1-1 on the road over the past 7 days. Last Saturday, the Sharks wrapped up a stretch of 3 games in 4 days as Jacksonville Bowlers got their revenge on Atlantic for an overtime loss in December, 56-32. And the Sharks were undone in that game by committing a season-high 27 turnovers. After that, Atlantic traveled to New Smyrna Beach on Tuesday to take on a dangerous Barracudas team and came out with a 47-33 victory. Aliana Jones put in a season-best 16 points and 20 rebounds, and Tristan O'Barry added 13 points and led the team with 7 steals. I spoke to Atlantic head coach George Butts to recap the last couple of games and preview tonight's important matchup with Mainland. I'm here with Atlantic head coach George Butts before a contest against the Mainland Buccaneers here tonight on this January Friday. Coach, 2 games since we saw you last. You went up to Jacksonville to play Bolus, and then you were in town to play New Smyrna Beach. The New Smyrna Beach game you guys ended up winning, and that team was pretty good record-wise and statistics-wise. Do you think that's a good barometer of where your team is doing as we head towards the end of the season?
Yes, I think the schedule that we played has helped prepare us for tougher teams like the team we're playing tonight.
On that, Mainland 13-1, legitimate state championship aspirations, got a couple of D1 prospects on the roster. How do you expect to combat their fast, tall lineup tonight?
Just do what we do. I think we're just as quick as they are. It's just a matter of execution.
Obviously, Kyla Filippi on crutches, not playing tonight. Can you give us an update on that situation, and is anyone else out for you?
No, just Kyla's out, and she's going to get an MRI on next week just to make sure everything's okay.
Thank you, Coach. Tough run-in, couple of games in the last couple of weeks of the season. Good luck tonight.
All right, thank you very much.
The Mainland Lady Buccaneers are 13-1 and come into the game ranked in the top 20 in the state of Florida by both the FHSAA and Max Preps. Last season, the Bucks had a record of only 13-12, but did major damage in the postseason, finishing second in the 6A District 4 tournament and going all the way to the 6A state quarterfinals with both of their postseason losses to the eventual state runners-up, Waukegan. Mainland's top player is senior guard Isis Grady, the UNC Greensboro commit, leads the team in both points per game with 15.8 and rebounds, grabbing 8.7 every time she steps on the floor. However, Grady is by no means the only dangerous player on the Mainland roster. Her fellow senior, Jamea Jackson, and freshman Tia Dobson both score just under 10 points per game, and 6'1" Sailor center Hayley Brennan will be difficult to deal with underneath the basket. Now, as we get closer to tonight's game, it's time for tonight's edition of the MJT Sports Productions Keys to the Game. For Atlantic, you got to keep the game close. You have to either slow down Isis Grady or find a way to score with the Buccaneers. And for Mainland, you got to create turnovers and turn them into points. Atlantic has had an issue keeping hold of the basketball, so make sure to take advantage of every opportunity. Now let's send it down to courtside and the Sharks PA announcer.
Number 4, junior, Cameron Campbell. Number 5, senior, Mia Jackson. Number 20, sophomore, Bella Monte. Number 22, senior, Isis Brady. And tonight's starting lineup for your Atlantic Sharks. You have number 4 sophomore, Tristan O'Berry. Number 3, sophomore, Nashaya Israel. Number 23, junior, Kiki P. Number 10, senior, Lindsay St. Jean. And number 2, senior, Aliana Jones.
That was quite cool. It was like the senior night back in November. They brought all the lights down. There was some cool dramatic teal lighting. Felt like a college atmosphere. They have packed as many people as they have legally allowed into the Shark Tank tonight. I'll go through the starting lineups one more time for you. For Mainland, it's Nyasia James, Jamia Jackson, Bella Montesano, and Isis Grady. And for Atlantic, it's Aliana Jones, Yeshaya Israel, Tristan O'Berry, Lindsay St. Jean, and Kiana Bean. And let's play basketball. The tip goes the way of Mainland immediately there into the front court. They attack the basket, the listeners left. Baseline drive, running the lane, no good. Offensive rebound by Grady. She puts it up and in. And Isis Grady, the most dangerous player on the floor tonight. A D1 commitment to UNC Greensboro is on the board. It's 2-0. Mainland. Kiana Bean into the front court. Draws a double team as she tries to drive. Back to the top, it goes to Yisrael. Yisrael drives, left hand layup, too strong. Jones, the offensive rebound. Her putback is no good. And the rebound is snagged by Isis Grady. Grady, push pass ahead. Up to Jackson. Jackson, runner in the lane, won't go off the underside of the rim. And it looks like somebody stepped on the baseline. Oh no, they're gonna call Yisrael for a foul. Not in the act of shooting, so to the line goes Jamia Jackson. 2-0 Mainland. Mainland wears the all gold tonight. Blue shoulders, blue stripes down the side. Mainland in blue letters with white trim and blue numbers with white trim as well. The Sharks in their home white. First of 2 is good for Jackson. The Sharks in their home white, teal and black accents. Jackson hits them both. It's 4-0 Mainland early. Kiana Bean off the inbounds pass. Crosses the timeline. Guarded out high by Isis Grady. Bounce pass high, left side. Jones drives against Grady. Tries to put up a runner in the lane, won't go, but she is fouled. And it's gonna be the first on Grady. It will be very nice for the Sharks if they could get Isis Grady in foul trouble. Last year during Mainland's playoff run, Grady had 2 straight 20-point games to get them all the way to the state quarterfinals. First point of the night is up and good on the free throw from Aliana Jones. Second one is on the way and right through there, so it's 4-2 Buccaneers. Grady, the inbounds pass off of St. Jean, and the Sharks take the basketball. Bean, top of the key. O'Berry a drive, and she gets fouled as she goes up for a layup. And they're gonna catch Campbell for her first foul, so quickly 2 fouls against Mainland. And Tristan O'Berry's at the line. That was an excellent play by Lindsay St. Jean as the first shot is up and good from O'Berry. To get a hand on the inbounds pass from the baseline, and the Sharks immediately turn the ball over. And now a chance to tie the game. Second free throw is up and no good, so it's 4-3. The score stays. This time Mainland does control. Into the front court quickly for Jackson. Jackson to the left-hand corner, James. Now a long three from the left-hand wing is no good. Long rebound up by the free throw line is fought for and grabbed by Montesano, and then a jump ball is called, and the Sharks have the possession arrow. Mainland gonna go full court press, give the Sharks a little bit of their own medicine. as Bean is the gunner. Gets it into St. Jean and then gets it back. So the Bucks only show full court press. They immediately drop off once the ball is in play. 6 minutes, 40 seconds to go in a 4-3 Mainland lead in the first quarter. Ball almost stripped from Yisrael, but she gathers at the free throw line. Bounce pass under the basket to O'Berry, and O'Berry lays it in. Tristan O'Berry. Ball into the front court for Cameron Campbell, and the pass is over the head of Jamia Jackson and into the hands of Jones. Jones, long lob pass, St. Jean in the right-hand corner. The ball is knocked away from Bean, and then stepping on the baseline as she tried to leave the zone is Nyasia James, and it will be Sharks to inbound. They lead 5-4. Frenetic start to this game, 6:10 to go first quarter. Sharks attacking the basket to listeners left, and they'll inbound across from the scorer's table. Tristan O'Berry out high, guarded by her opposite number, Campbell. O'Berry drives, and her kick out to the left-hand corner is tapped away by Jamia Jackson, and it will be still Sharks ball, 6:02 to play in the quarter. Bean looking for an inbounds pass in front of the Mainland bench. She finds one to Yisrael. Yisrael gets a high pick from Jones. Yisrael thought about a three, but bounce passes it to Jones' right-hand corner. Up top it goes for Bean, but it's over her head. O'Berry collects, almost commits a over and back, but gets it to Bean just before that. Bean out high, guarded by Grady. Bean switches it to the right hand, spinning in the lane, but she backs away from it. Now Bean draws a double team. Underneath the basket it goes to Jones. Jones, a right hand layup is good. Aliana Jones. 7-4, Sharks over the Buccaneers, and rifling through the full court press very easily is James. Her layup won't go, however. Offensive rebound comes out high to Grady. Her three-pointer from straight on is no good. Fighting for the rebound, and a jump ball is called between Jones and James. Mainland with the possession arrow. They'll inbound under the basket that they attack to listeners right in this first half. Grady cycles around and then comes back to the left-hand corner. A shot partially blocked from three, and then a foul is going to be called. And they're going to call it on Montesano. So Montesano picks up one. Now 3 Buccaneers with 1 foul. That was a push on Bean as the turnover was happening. 7-4, Sharks over the Buccaneers. Bean into the front court, slowly across the timeline, 5 minutes to go in the first quarter. Right side, O'Berry. O'Berry works it back to the top and then turns the ball over, but now they're going to call a foul. And they're going to call it on Campbell, her second. First substitution of the day for Mainland. Into the game comes Hayley Brennan, the tallest player on either team. And also Tia Dobson, their standout freshman, 9.5 points per game for Dobson. Ball comes out high to Yisrael. 4:55 to go. Yisrael puts the ball on the floor, dives on it, and it's going to be a jump ball. Sharks with the possession arrow. That's 3 jump balls here in the first 5 minutes of this ball game. Both teams diving on the floor. It's a high energy start here. A lot of people here in the Shark Tank tonight, and everybody's fired up. Into the corner it goes for Bean. Bean back out high. Jones in the corner. Jones picks it to Bean. Kiana, left-hand drive, tries to shovel it under the basket to Jones, and it is deflected out of bounds by Jones, and it'll be Mainland basketball. And you can see immediately how the 6'1" Hayley Brennan, and that is 6'1" listed. I think she's actually a little taller than that. Grady inbounds against the full court press. The ball comes through to Brennan, and it's stripped by Yisrael. Yisrael guarded closely by Jackson. Bounce pass right-hand side as Bean controls it as she got it back from Jones. Bean, left-hand dribble, plays it short to Yisrael, and then gets it back. Jones thought about the long jumper. Bean, still top of the key, to St. Jean. NBA range 3, it's in and out. Almost had it. And the Buccaneers will set up their half-court offense with Nyasia James. James bounce pass to Dobson. Dobson floater in the high post, and then the ball cycles around to the left-hand side. Three-pointer is no good from James. Offensive rebound is put back up and good by Isis Grady. 7-6 Sharks over the Buccaneers. 3:50 to play first quarter. Bean Jones thought about a three. Now she drives baseline, draws a double team, puts a shot up and in from Aliana Jones. She had 16 points on Tuesday to lead all scorers against New Smyrna Beach. And now the ball goes on the floor, but Mainland recovers as they cross the timeline. High left wing, here's James, and then James walks back to the top and she'll stand on the Atlantic logo at midcourt. Rifles it around to the left-hand wing. A three on the way from Dobson. It's in and out. Offensive rebound is in by Brennan. 9-8. Sharks with the lead over the Buccaneers. 3 minutes to go in the first quarter. Kiana Bean walks across the timeline with 3:03 to go. Sharks slowing it down after a frenetic first 6 minutes of the ball game. Bean, step back, doesn't take the shot though. Gets it back from Jones. Bean shovels to Jones. Jones tries a three from the right-hand corner. It's no good. Offensive rebound by Yisrael. Yisrael is tripped up on the floor, and then a jump ball. Possession arrow favors Mainland. So Yisrael tripped, and then Brennan tied her up. Full court press again from Atlantic. Ball comes in. Grady gets it back. Tied up by Dobson. The ball comes into the front court, for Dobson. Her floater in the lane is no good, but another putback by Hayley Brennan. As I said, she's the tallest player on the floor by some margin. The only person that can match her on the Atlantic team is the freshman, Kaylee Isaac. Jones, another three from straight on. This one's no good. Fighting for the rebound is Yisrael. She loses out to Jackson, and I think she fouls Jackson. Yeah, she does foul Jackson, so second foul on the Sharks, second foul as well on Yisrael. Mainland will start their half-court offense with Tia Dobson. She crosses the timeline. 2:10 to play in the first half. Mainland on top 10-9. Guarded out high by her opposite number, Yisrael. Moving to her left, now spinning back to the top. Grady in the high post, had the ball stripped away by Yisrael, and O'Berry runs the floor. O'Berry to the paint. Her layup is good for Tristan O'Berry. 11-10, Sharks retake the lead. Full court press is broken by a long pass ahead to James. James to the baseline. She kicks it to the left-hand corner, and the pass is over the head of Tia Dobson. Or Jamia Jackson. Sharks inbound the ball under 2 minutes now to play in the first quarter. They have an 11-10 lead over the Mainland Buccaneers in a very, very competitive first quarter. Bean against Grady. Left-hand drive, now Bean draws a double team, pitches it to Jones. Jones thought about a three again. She's 0 for 2, but she pitches it under the basket, and it's behind St. Jean. Coming away with it is James. She runs the floor, had it poked away by Jones, but gets it back, and now the Buccaneers will set up the half-court offense. Underneath the basket, it goes to Brennan. Her floater in the lane is no good, but she gets an offensive rebound, puts it back up, no good, and another offensive rebound is fought for, and it will go out of bounds. Underneath the basket, it'll be Mainland to inbound as Lindsay St. Jean knocked it out. Into the corner it comes. Quick three is too strong for Jackson, and the defensive rebound is grabbed by Bean. She is knocked to the ground by James, but I think they might have called a jump ball. Oh, no, they are going to call a foul on James. So that's her first. 5 fouls for Mainland early, only 2 for the Sharks. Bean gets it back from Jones, rifles it across the timeline to Yisrael. Yisrael pulls up from 18 feet and misses everything, and it's going to go out of bounds. Inbound to Mainland. And immediately Brennan draws 2 defenders. No pressure on the ball. Dobson dribbles it across the timeline. 45 seconds to play first quarter. Left-hand wing it comes to James. James draws a double team from O'Berry and Yisrael. Back to the top for Brennan. Brennan hands it to Dobson, and they reset. Dobson underneath for Brennan. Brennan, another pass to Grady. Her shot is blocked, and then out of bounds off of the foot of Isis Grady. It'll be Atlantic basketball. In it goes to O'Berry. O'Berry crosses the timeline. She goes to the right-hand corner, then back to the top for Bean. 20 seconds to go first quarter. Kiana Bean walks all the way back to the center court. Bounce pass right-hand side, Jones. Jones against Brennan, back to Bean. 12 seconds. O'Berry, Yisrael, top of the key still. Yisrael drives the lane, floater over. Brennan is off the glass and in. Yeshaya Yisrael beats the first quarter buzzer, and that's the end of a wild first quarter. Your score, 13-10 Sharks over the Buccaneers. This is Atlantic Basketball on MJT Sports Productions. As the official healthcare champion of Volusia County Schools, Advent Health is committed to providing championship caliber care. With 4 hospitals, 4 urgent care centers, and 6 sports medicine and rehab locations across Volusia County. Advent Health is here to keep your student athlete off the sidelines and get them back in the game. Visit adventhealth.com to learn more. We'll take 30 seconds and be right back. This is MJT Sports Productions broadcast of Atlantic girls basketball. Live from courtside here at the Shark Tank. The Sharks lead the Mainland Buccaneers 13-10 as we head to the second quarter. Leading all scorers with 6 is Aliana Jones. As the Atlantic is a little bit slow getting away from the bench as Coach Butts was talking to him. It will be Atlantic basketball. They lead 13-10. The inbounds pass goes to Lindsay St. Jean. And then O'Berry gets it back. O'Berry drives, kick to St. Jean in the right-hand corner. Back to the top for Jones. It cycles around to Yisrael. Yisrael tries a 3, left-hand wing. It's in and out almost, but it popped back out and into the hands of Isis Grady. Grady runs the floor. Into the left-hand corner it comes for James. Back to the top for Grady. Cycles left-hand corner. Step forward, long 2 is off the glass and no good from James. And into the hands of Yeshaya Yisrael. Yisrael against James. She goes to the left-hand corner. Hits it back to St. Jean, and St. Jean throws an errant pass into the hands of Jackson, who runs the floor and lays it in. 13-12, Sharks over the Buccaneers. Crossing the timeline, 7-10 is O'Berry. Kicks it to the Kiana Bean, then gets it back. Now draws a double team out high, loses the basketball. Tia Dobson picks it up, throws it underneath the basket to Jackson, and 1 as Jackson lays it in. And she'll go to the line. That's the first foul on Tristan O'Berry and the third in this first half on the Sharks. And at the line to add 1 is Jackson. The Buccaneers have scored the first 4 points of the quarter and taken a 14-13 lead. The and 1 shot is up. The and 1 shot is no good. But Isis Grady with the offensive rebound. Her putback is underneath the underside of the bar and no good. The ball cycles around up to the top. A long 2 from Dobson is no good. Then the rebound is grabbed by Kiana Bean. Into the left-hand corner it goes. A 3-pointer in transition is no good. Missed everything. Now, was that deflected? It was. Tristan O'Berry took the shot. And the Sharks will inbound under the basket to listeners left. Bean, the gunner, standing on the baseline all the way out to O'Berry. O'Berry guarded by James. O'Berry hands it off to Yisrael. Yisrael, left-hand drive, floater in the lane is good from Yeshaya Yisrael. 15-14 Sharks. Double team on Isis Grady. She throws it up to the timeline and to James. James drives the lane, puts it up, no good. Rebound to Jones, but immediately she's double teamed and fouled. And it's gonna be the second foul on James. 15-14 Sharks over the Mainland Buccaneers, 6:10 to play in the first half. Been an exciting game so far. Walking slowly across the timeline is Yeshaya Yisrael. Now she's met by James out high. Bounce past Jones, right-hand wing. Jones, spin move, gets her free, but now she draws a double team, fires it back to St. Jean. St. Jean tries a long 3 from straight on. It is up and no good. High off the backboard, and then Isis Grady tried to leave the lane and got fouled. Not sure who that was on. We'll check it in a minute. Grady gets the inbounds pass. Throws it across the timeline to Dobson. Dobson drives the lane, puts up a runner, and it's good and one. First point to the night for Tia Dobson. And it's going to be the first foul on Kiana Bean. So the game is tied 16-16, and at the line is the dynamite freshman Tia Dobson. Her and one is good. So 17-16, the Buccaneers are back on top. Shovel pass back to the top, finds St. Jean, and then underneath the basket looking for Yisrael is over her head from Jones, and it's another turnover. It's been the Sharks' Achilles heel this season, turnovers. And that was my key to the game for Mainland, is take advantage of extra possessions. Just checking it is Hendley Welsh. Her three is good. Nothing but net for Hendley Welsh, the Converse College commit. That's a Division II school in Spartansburg, South Carolina. 20-15, a 5-point lead, and the ball is through the hands of Yisrael on a stretch pass and into the hands of Isis Grady. Now a 2-on-1 for Mainland. Into the lane, the blocked layup by Aliana Jones. Tia Dobson had that one blocked. Almost losing the handle as she crossed the timeline is Yeshaya Yisrael, but she gets it to O'Barry, and the Sharks will set up their half-court offense. Bounce pass to the top. Into the right-hand corner for Bean. Hasn't scored yet, Bean, the leading scorer for the Sharks. Underneath it goes to Jones, bounce pass Bean, and it's off her foot. And then a deflected pass comes back to St. Jean by the scorer's table. She throws it back to the middle on the logo for Tristan O'Barry, and the Sharks maintain possession. 4.5 minutes to play first quarter. Oh, nice move to get free, and driving the lane and scoring is Tristan O'Barry. Full court press coming in from the Sharks. It's easily broken. Grady in the front court, Euro step behind the back. Layup is good. Showing some of that D1 talent, Isis Grady up to 6 points, 22-17, Bucks lead. Jones out high, now she bounces it to the baseline. O'Barry, a runner in the lane, no good. And the rebound goes to James for Mainland. Hendley Welsh, transition three, good. And a timeout taken, full timeout taken by Coach Butts as it's 25-17. Hendley Welsh has 6 quick points on 2 threes in the last 2 minutes. We'll take a timeout and be right back. This is MJT Sports Productions broadcast of Atlantic Sharks basketball. Want to get your business on the air in front of the Atlantic fans? If you would like to advertise via MJT Sports Productions, the official play-by-play internet radio partner of Atlantic High School, is a sponsor of Atlantic Athletics, please email the AHS Athletic Director Tron Griffin at tdgriffy@volusia.k12.fl.us. That's tdgriffi at volusia.k12.fl.us. Well, the lead that the Sharks had is now erased, and then some, as the Mainland Buccaneers lead the Atlantic Sharks 25-17. 6 straight points for Hendley Welch on 2 quick threes, the major contributor. A couple of changes for Atlantic out of that timeout. No, just one change. St. Jean heads to the bench, and Alexia Brooks is into the game. Still running point is Tristan O'Barry. O'Barry looks to get around Cameron Campbell, who's just checked back in for Mainland, and she's going to draw the foul on Campbell. That'll be Campbell's 3rd foul. And it will be a 1-and-1 because that's the 6th foul on... That'll be the 6th foul on Mainland, and Campbell, that's her 3rd. She more than likely will come to the bench. She's going over to talk to head coach Brandon Stewart, the FHSAA 6A Coach of the Year, and also the Daytona Beach News Journal Coach of the Year last year. Joined the Mainland Buccaneer program in 2018. The first end of the 1-and-1 is no good from O'Barry. And Mainland grabs the rebound. Here's Tia Dobson. Dobson on the logo, guarded by Yisrael. Dobson splits a double team, puts the ball on the floor. A diving Yisrael goes for it, and it's a tie-up. And Mainland has the possession arrow. Mainland inbounding under the basket that they attack to the center's left, wearing the all gold with blue and white trim. Quickly up to the top for Dobson. Her three-pointer good. Nothing but net for Tia Dobson, and that's 3 straight threes for Mainland. They lead at 28-17. Remember, Atlantic started this quarter up by 3, and it's been 18 points for Mainland in this third quarter so far. Up high, here's Aliana Jones, cycled around to the left-hand corner. Bean still hasn't even attempted a shot yet. Now she pulls up for 3 and hits it. Nothing but net for Kiana Bean, and she makes her mark on the ball game. 8-point lead for Mainland, 28-20. 2:40 to go in the game. Into the front court with a full head of steam. A layup is no good from Tia Dobson, and the rebound comes to Aliana Jones. Kiana Bean into the front court. She's back to running the point for Atlantic. Shovels it to the top for O'Barry, then gets it back on the right-hand wing. Into the right-hand corner. 3 on the way for Alexia Brooks is too strong. Fighting for the rebound and getting it is O'Barry. Her putback is too short. Jones grabs the rebound but tried to kick it out to Bean, and that pass is intercepted by Nyasia James. James, long pass into the front court. Thought about a 3 was Dobson. She's beset by Yisrael on the right-hand wing. She drives inside, and a tie-up is going to go to the way of Atlantic. That's the 5th tie-up in this ballgame so far, and there's still 2:10 to play in the first half. Lindsay St. Jean checks back in. Yeshaya Yisrael takes a seat. She has 2 fouls. She's the only player on Atlantic with more than 1. O'Barry has 1 and Bean has 1. And Kiana Bean has it now. Across the timeline, 2 minutes to play. To the left hand, draws a double team out high. Here's St. Jean. Cross-court pass to the right-hand side. O'Barry back to the top for Bean. Bean with a double team again. To O'Barry, long 3, too strong. Alexia Brooks fighting for the rebound, but it's going to go to Welch. And then Isis Grady with a head of steam into the front court. Transition layup is good from Isis Grady. That's her 8th point to lead all scorers. The UNC Greensboro commit. Bounce pass is behind Aliana Jones into the hands of Nyasia James. She runs the floor, she lays it in. That's her first point. And Coach Butts wants a timeout again. It's now a 12-point lead for Mainland, 32-20. Sharks fans can't make it to the Shark Tank for Atlantic basketball games? MJT Sports Productions is the official play-by-play home of your Atlantic Sharks. Be sure to like our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow us on Twitter, all at MJT Sports Productions, so you never miss a moment of the action. Let's go Sharks! And if you're watching this on YouTube or Twitter, or Facebook for that matter, if you would kindly drop a like on the video, it helps us reach other Sharks fans and other people around the Port Orange community. Advent Health is here for you and with you during every tip-off, every timeout, and every season to support you physically, mentally, and spiritually in this game called life. Advent Health is on your team. They're your biggest fan, and they're here to help you feel whole. Advent Health is a proud supporter of Volusia County School Athletics. Visit adventhealth.com to learn more. 1 minute and 24 seconds left to go in the first half, 32-20. Mainland over the Atlantic Sharks. A 22-point second half so far for the Buccaneers. Bean pulls up for 3, too strong. Long rebound comes to Aliana Jones. Jones, bounce pass out of the basket to Bean. Bean with a backdoor cutting run, and she gets stripped of the basketball, but it comes straight to O'Barry. O'Barry pulls up, it's short, and she gets her own rebound as it came straight back to her. Now O'Barry dribbles it back to the top. 3 from straight on is good from Tristan O'Barry. She's been the Sharks' best player so far tonight. Under a minute to go, 55 seconds. Across the timeline, here's Dobson. Dobson into the lane, Euro step is no good, but Isis Grady hauls down the offensive board. Her putback is no good, but she got fouled. And it's gonna be on Brooks, her first for the Sharks. Into the line goes Isis Grady, her first trip to the charity stripe tonight, but she is the leading scorer of anybody. She's got 8 points. Grady, a little bit of around the belly dribble, and she puts her first one up and no good off the back iron. Cameron Campbell checks back in for Mainland. She has 4 fouls, remember. Grady. Her second free throw is good. And subs coming in. Jamia Jackson checks back in for Mainland, and in for Atlantic for the first time today is Bailey Cameron, so some of the freshmen getting a chance to see the floor tonight for Atlantic. She checks in for Yisrael. Lindsay St. Jean now runs the point for Atlantic. 7 seconds left to play first quarter. 10-point lead for Mainland, 33-23. Nice little drive. Euro step and a swatted shot by Tristan O'Berry. O'Berry's got the hot hand, but Naisha James was right place, right time to block that one away. Long inbounds pass comes to St. Jean. St. Jean around to Jones. Jones tries a straight on 3, too short. Cameron fighting for the rebound with Grady. Grady picks it up. Long pass ahead. Nobody is there to guard the basket, and laying it up and no good. Too short was Jamia Jackson, and the Sharks take the rebound. 18 seconds left to go. Into the front court comes O'Berry, and she turns the ball over before she can get a shot. Into the hands of Tia Dobson. Dobson lobs it up, and it's intercepted by Bailey Cameron underneath the basket. She was looking for James. A long pass into the front court for Bean. Bean pass under the basket for Jones, and she is going to be, and that is the end of the first quarter. She was well defended by Jackson and couldn't put a layup up. So that's the end of the first quarter. Your score, 33-23, a 10-point lead for the Mainland Buccaneers. We'll be right back after this with your halftime stats and figures. This is MJT Sports Productions broadcast of Atlantic Sharks basketball. Live from courtside here at the Shark Tank on the campus of Atlantic High School. This is MJT Sports Productions broadcast of Atlantic Sharks girls basketball. We are at halftime between the Atlantic Sharks and the Mainland Buccaneers, and the Bucks lead this one 33-23. Here are your halftime stats and figures. Leading all scorers for Mainland is Isis Grady, the UNC Greensboro commit, and the Daytona Beach News Journal All-Area first-team player has 9 points. 7 points for Jamia Jackson, 6 points for Hendley Welch, 3 points for Tia Dobbs, 6 points as well for Tia Dobson, 4 for Brennan, and 2 for James. That's the Mainland scores. And then for the Atlantic Sharks, Tristan O'Berry has been the standout performer. She has 7. Aliana Jones has 6. Yeshai Israel has 4. And Kiana Bean, surprisingly, only attempted 2 shots in the first half. She's 1 for 2 from 3 and has 3 points. Foul situation for Mainland, 3 on Campbell, 2 on James, 1 each on Montesano and Grady. And for Atlantic, 2 on Israel, 1 on O'Berry, 1 on Brooks, and 1 on Bean. And that is your halftime report. We will take 5 minutes and be back with the second half. Live from courtside, this is MJT Sports Productions' broadcast of Atlantic Sharks girls basketball. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Shark Tank live from courtside. This is MJT Sports Productions broadcast of Atlantic Sharks girls basketball. We are just about to start the second half. Your score, the Mainland High School Buccaneers 33, the Atlantic Sharks 23. After a 23-point second half, after a competitive first quarter, 23-point second quarter by the Buccaneers to see them pull away. Sharks still in touching distance though, which is more than a lot of teams have been. And as Coach Butts told me in our pregame interview, they love playing teams like this, like Potter's House, Christian from earlier this month, like Seminole from last month, teams with great pedigree. We are just about to get underway. Mainland in the gold and blue get us underway. They attack the basket. Two listeners left. On the ball is Tia Dobson after receiving the inbounds pass. Dobson, double team out high. Ball comes to the left-hand corner. Thought about a shot, and then pummeling it under the basket to Grady. Another pass underneath to Welch. Welch's layup is no good. Grady, the offensive rebound, she puts it in. Isis Grady up to 11 points to lead all scorers. Kiana Bean quickly into the front court. Plays it right side for Jones. It's bounced under the basket back to Bean. Bean tried to get into the corner to St. Jean. The pass is intercepted. Getting the ball up past the timeline is Tia Dobson, and then she will slow it down. Pass to the right-hand corner, three on the way from Welch. That's her first three that she's missed. Taken two, hit two in the first half. And Kiana Bean grabs the rebound, walks across the timeline, 7:07 to play. St. Jean fires a three, too strong. Long rebound comes to Dobson for Mainland. Dobson runs the floor. Quick 2-on-1 for Mainland if they want it. Dobson gets to the lane and gets fouled. The basket is no good off the underside of the rim. So, as St. Jean draws her first foul, the main issue right now is getting back on defense after missed shots. There's been way too many transition buckets as the first free throw is up and no good from Dobson. Dobson had 6 points in the first half. But there have been way too many easy layups for Welch and for James and for Dobson. The second one is up and in, and it's 36-23. Mainland over Atlantic. 6:56 to go in the third quarter. Sharks can't let this get out of hand, and that means scoring the basketball, which they didn't do a lot of in the second quarter, only 10 points. Baseline drive and a travel from Aliana Jones as she received a cutting pass from Yisrael. Sharks with the same five they started the game with: Jones, Yisrael, O'Berry, St. Jean, and Bean. And a pass is batted into the Sharks bench. It'll be Atlantic to inbound again right in front of our broadcast position here at the scorer's table. Grady, the inbound pass, goes all the way into the backcourt for James, and James will control the play. Nasia James crosses the timeline, 6.5 to go in the third quarter. Bounce pass to the baseline for Grady. Grady double teamed, passes to the right-hand corner. It is no good. Oh no, excuse me, it's good. And a 30-second timeout is going to be called by Mainland. Excuse me, we'll be right back. We'll take 30 seconds. This is MJT Sports Productions, broadcast of Atlantic Sharks basketball. Live from Atlantic High School, it's Mainland Buccaneers 38, Atlantic Sharks 23. That was a long two up and good from Jackson on that last possession that I thought was missed. It went so cleanly through the hoop that I missed it. Try to break the full court press, and they do get it across the timeline to Yisrael. Yisrael now to Bean, top of the key, throws it to the right-hand corner. Long two all the way from St. Jean. It's no good. Long rebound to Yisrael. Bounce pass underneath the basket to Jones. Her layup got swatted, and then a bounce pass is saved from going out of bounds by St. Jean as the pass was behind her. It comes back to Kiana Bean at the top. Now a straight-on three is blocked from Israel, and that was blocked by James, and Mainland picks up the pieces. Odd man rush as Grady passed it under the basket to Jackson, to James, and she lays it in. 40-23. 17 points, the advantage for Mainland. Bean, a pass to Bean from O'Barry is over her head. Another transition opportunity for Mainland. The layup is no good. Fighting for the rebound is James. She gets it out to Jackson, and her long two is good. So it's all Mainland right now. 9-0 run to open the second half for the Buccaneers, and they're showing why they are ranked in the top 20 in the state of Florida across all divisions. Bean, floater underneath the basket to Jones, and Jones is going to be fouled. And that's Welch's first. And into the basketball game is Hayley Brennan. She replaces Tia Dobson for Mainland, the tallest player on the floor by far, listed at 6'1", probably 6'1.5", closer to 6'2", and she scored 4 points in the first half, both on putbacks. Up to the top from Bean, and it cycles around all out high. Right-hand corner, Bean takes a three. It is almost. It's in and out. And then batting the ball out of bounds across the baseline is Isis Grady. And it'll be Atlantic to inbound to the basket that they attack to listeners right. They wear the white, trimmed in black and teal. Bean the gunner. Looking for a pass. It comes to the right-hand corner. Three on the way from St. Jean, and she hits it. Lindsay St. Jean, her first points of the game, and Atlantic is on the board in the second half. Press break from Mainland. Behind the back dribble by Isis Grady. She gets to the paint, goes right around Alexia Brooks and lays it in. Pulling out the style moves is Isis Grady as she blew by about three Sharks defenders on that play. 44-26. Three on the way from Israel. It's short. And Alexia Brooks is fighting for the rebound. She loses out to Brennan. And now Isis Grady runs the floor again. Guarded by Israel. Grady floats it underneath the basket for Brennan, and Brennan easily lays it in over Jones. Brennan is just taller than everybody else the Sharks have out there, and there's almost no way to guard her when she gets the ball in the post. Bean, left-hand corner. Thought about a three, now drives, puts up a floater. It's off the back iron, no good, but Bean gets her own miss. Dribbles to the left-hand corner, then back to the top. 3:53 to go, third quarter. Free throw line, here's Israel. Right side, Brooks. Brooks tries a 3-2 strong. Rebound goes to Mainland and James. James, long throw to the front court for Welch. And Welch travels before she got the shot off. It was no good anyway. It would have been a transition three from the right-hand corner. Alexia Brooks checks out. Not sure who checked in for the Sharks. They check in the freshman, Kaylee Isaac, who is the only person on the Sharks roster listed above 6 feet to match up against Brennan. Bean across the timeline, 3:35 to go, third quarter, 46-26, Mainland over Atlantic. Pick and roll, and putting up a layup, and it is good, and one for Yeshaya Israel. And that is the fourth foul on Cameron Campbell as she checked in, played one play, drew a foul, immediately checked out. And here is Bella Montesano. Played in the first half, started the game actually for Mainland, but has not scored yet, as the sophomore Montesano. The and one is up and good from Israel. The full court press comes again from Atlantic. Grady, long pass into the front court, and all alone is Montesano. Her three from the left-hand corner is good. Montesano on the board, and another timeout. A full from Mainland as they lead 49-29, 3:19 to play in the third quarter. We'll take 60 seconds and be right back. This is MJT Sports Productions broadcast of Atlantic Sharks girls basketball. Stay with us. It's time you feel your best. Physically, mentally, spiritually, to be centered and supported. To feel the power of a world-class healthcare network coming together to help you take control of your health. It's time to feel whole. Advent Health is a proud supporter of Volusia County School Athletics. Visit adventhealth.com to learn more. And feeling whole right now, the Mainland Buccaneers, they got a 20-point lead, 49-29 over the Atlantic Sharks. This game has turned out very different than the first 8 minutes would have liked you to think. The Sharks were up 13-10 after the first quarter, but it's been downhill from there. Right-hand corner, here's Yisrael back to St. Jean out high, and then back to Yisrael. Yisrael to O'Berry, splits a double team. Underneath the basket, it goes to Jones. Back out to Bean. Her three-pointer, good from Kiana Bean. Only her second made basket of the ball game. Both of those threes. Full court press comes again, but it's broken. Long pass finds Jackson. Jackson drives baseline. Her layup is no good, but an offensive rebound and put back by Brennan. That's the third time she's done that. Bounce pass right-hand corner. Working back to the top and throwing it underneath to Bean is St. Jean. Bean, left-hand wing, three-pointer, no good, air ball. Rebounded by Grady. Grady runs the floor, and there's nobody in front of her. Now Bean tracks back, but she shovels it under the basket to Brennan, and Brennan lays it in. Just no answer for the Sharks for the 6'1", Hayley Brennan. And she's up to 10, all of them on putbacks. Bean tries to drive against Grady, pitches it back to Jones, top of the key. Jones hands it off to Yisrael, and then St. Jean playing with it. And in traffic, a foul is going to be called as a couple of nice fancy passes by the Sharks trying to get a space for a shot. O'Berry had the ball, and she was fouled by Jackson. Jackson's first of the ball game. Long inbounds pass comes to St. Jean. Bean now straight away three. It's no good, and Brennan the rebound. And she looks to be tied up by Jones, but works away from it. Sharks got to sprint back now. Open for three in the left-hand corner is James. He didn't take it, gets it to Brennan. Free throw line, her jumper no good. First miss of the game for Brennan, and now you can see why she's only a threat underneath the basket, is that about 8-foot jump shot is no good. Into the ball game, replacing Isis Grady is Tia Dobson. First rest Grady has had all night. And the Sharks take possession, attacking the basket. The listeners right, down 21, 53-32, with 1:30 left to go in the third quarter. High post, here's Jones, back to Bean. Bean spins, gets away from one, splits a double team baseline, puts up a tough layup, it's no good, and the rebound goes to Mainland. Running the floor is Jackson. Press, stretch pass ahead to James, then back to Jackson, throwing it under the basket to Brennan. Nice ball movement, right-hand corner three is no good from James, but an offensive rebound comes to Dobson as it was off the back iron. Again, work to the right-hand corner, baseline drive, and a layup is no good from the baseline by James, and the rebound comes to Aliana Jones. Excuse me, that last rebound layup was put up by Jackson, and no good. Bean, long three, and she travels before she got it off. So Mainland takes possession again, 37 seconds left to play in the third quarter. Bounce pass underneath the basket to Brennan. Brennan, layup no good, but she gets fouled as the ball hit the underside of the rim. And it looks like it's going to be on Aliana Jones. It will. That's Jones's first. And at the line for the first time today is Hayley Brennan. Brennan up to 10 points. On three of, and her first is no good. She has 10 points on 5 of 6 shooting. The 5 good ones were layups, most of them putbacks. And the one missed one was a straight-on jump shot from about the free throw line. Her second of 2 free throw attempts for the big center is on the way, and it's good. And now she leaves the ball game. She's replaced by freshman Candace Hayley. And Hayley will take over the center role for Mainland. A younger lineup now out there for Mainland as the sophomore Montesano is out there along with the freshman Hayley, and a turnover as O'Barry puts the ball on the floor. Bounce pass ahead to Montesano, right-hand corner. Cycles around quickly to the left-hand corner. 3 on the way and short, and the rebound comes to O'Barry. O'Barry tries to run the floor but gets stripped, and then a foul is going to go the way of Atlantic as O'Barry was trying to leave the zone. It's going to be on Montesano, her second, first of the second half. (54-32), Mainland over Atlantic, and another wayward pass off the inbound. A long layup is no good, and that's the end of the third quarter of play. Your score after 3, 54-32, Mainland over Atlantic. We'll take 30 seconds and be right back. This is MJT Sports Productions' broadcast of Atlantic Sharks basketball. If you are enjoying tonight's broadcast, make sure to hit the like button on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, and share this broadcast with other Sharks fans by clicking share or retweet. Thank you for supporting MJT Sports Productions and Atlantic basketball. Well, the Sharks have been very consistent offensively, 13, 10, and 10 in their 3 quarters to get 32. But unfortunately, Mainland has had an offensive explosion after the first quarter. Their first quarter was 10, but then 23 in the second, 19 in the third, and they lead 54-32 over Atlantic.
Give me some stop.
And a lot of those baskets for Mainland has been transition layups, as it's been tough sledding for Atlantic tracking back against the speed of the Buccaneers. Atlantic controls off the inbounds pass. Here's Yisrael. Yisrael drives, gets it stripped by her opposite number, Tia Dobson, as he tried to drive the lane. Dobson over the timeline, passes ahead to Montesano. Montesano splits a double team and then gets stripped herself as she went up for a layup by Jones. And then Jones's pass is intercepted. And then a layup and one athletically. Jamia Jackson turned the ball over and finished it in style, and she'll go to the line. Third foul on Yisrael. That is the most of any Shark. Actually, she's the only Shark with more than 1 foul. As the issue from earlier in the season from Atlantic has seemingly been corrected. They had a fair bit of foul trouble in November and December. The and one is good from Jackson. 57-32, Mainland over Atlantic. Kiana Bean into the front court. Jones right-hand wing, back to the top for O'Barry. O'Barry double-teamed, ball poked away, but she gets it back. O'Barry in front of her own bench, works to the corner. Now she's got to get the ball away, and she does, underneath the basket to Bean. Bean puts a tough layup baseline, no good. Rebound fought for by Jones, and she knocks it off of Tia Dobson. It'll be Sharks ball to inbound under the basket that they attack to listeners' right. 7 minutes, 12 seconds to play in the basketball game. Bean, right-hand corner, Yisrael. Yisrael, left-hand drive to the paint, and she gets fouled. And she'll go to the line to shoot 2. And they'll call that foul on Hayley, her first, but she didn't play at all in the first half, so. And now the line for 2 free throws is Yishai Yisrael. Yisrael 1 of 1 at the line tonight, had an and one in the third quarter. And it is sitting on the rim and out, her first one. And Kristen O'Barry gets replaced by Vanessa Sprata, and a couple of changes for Mainland, including the return of Cameron Campbell. Remember, she's got 4 fouls. Isis Grady returns to the lineup as well. Second of 2 free throws on the way, and no good from Israel, but the offensive rebound goes to Bean. She's tied up by Grady in the right-hand corner. Then the outbounds pass for Mainland is on the floor, picked up by Grady. Ahead, there's nobody back for Atlantic, and an easy layup is in for James. 59-32, Sharks lead. With 6:50 to go in the ball game. Bean. Bounce pass, right-hand corner, St. Jean. Back up top for Sprata, who's just checked in for the first time. St. Jean guarded closely by Montesano. Rifle to the top for Jones, and Jones is caught up high by a flailing Tia Dobson, and that will be a foul on Dobson away from the ball. That's Dobson's first, and Alexia Brooks checks back in for the Sharks. She replaces St. Jean. Inbounding is Aliana Jones across the court from the scorer's table. She gets into the left-hand corner for Bean. Bean through the legs, drives the lane, and gets pushed to the ground by Nieza James. Excuse me, they're going to call it on Isis Grady. That'll be Grady's second. And the 7th foul on Mainland. So it looks like it'll be a 1-and-1 for Kiana Bean. And that's got to hurt Brandon Stewart a little bit. You're up big, and you've just committed 2 really cheap off-ball fouls in the same possession, and now Bean at the line for a 1-and-1. Bean toes the line. It is up, and it rattles home. Only Bean's 7th point of the night. Not the night the star of the Sharks show wanted to have. She averages 13 points a game. Second one is up and good from Bean. So she is perfect in her first trip to the line. Ball inbound to Nieza James for Mainland. She crosses the timeline, 6:16 to play in the 4th quarter. Hands it off at the top of the key to Tia Dobson. Dobson right-hand side to Welch. Underneath the basket it goes to Dobson. Back up top, straight on 3 is on the way and no good from James. Ball is batted around onto the basket. It goes out of bounds, and it will be Mainland ball as it came off the foot of Alexia Brooks. Welch to inbound, quickly under the basket to Grady, and she gets fouled by Brooks. Basket won't count, but she will go to the line. Second foul on Alexia Brooks. And only second trip to the free throw line for Grady. She's 1 of 2. 6 minutes even to play in the ball game, and a big lead for Mainland. So Grady, as the first one is up and good, has this strange pre-free throw ritual where she spins the ball around her waist. As Kiana Bean checks out for Tristan O'Berry. Yeah, she catches the ball, dribble from the referee, dribbles it twice, cycles it around her waist, and then goes up for the shot. And her second shot is up and good. She's perfect this time. 61-34, Mainland with a comfortable advantage here with 5:55 to go in the ball game. The freshly checked in Tristan O'Berry. Here's Alexia Brooks, right-hand wing. Into the corner it comes for Jones. Back out high, a long pass intended for Sprata is knocked away by Welch. And Welch takes the ball into the front court. She hands it off right at the mid-court stripe and then gets it back. She drives the lane, and there's going to be a foul. I don't think it's going to be in the act of shooting. And it's going to go on Yisrael. That's her 4th. And they're not going to say it's in the act of shooting, so Grady will inbound under the basket to listeners left that Mainland attacks. Senior Jackie Williams checks in for the first time for Mainland. Ball comes out high. A 3 from Tia Dobson is good. Knocked it down without budging the net at all. Her second 3 of the night for Dobson. 64-34, a 30-point advantage. Brooks now, a transition 3-point attempt is no good. Isis Grady got the rebound, but she steps on the baseline. And now cycling, both teams cycling their rosters all over the place here. Kamari Brown checks in for the Sharks. She replaces Brooks. Jones, bounce pass under the basket. Intended for Brown, but it's intercepted by Grady. Bounce pass ahead to Dobson. Dobson controls under the basket, kicks into the right-hand corner. 3 on the way and short. Offensive rebound to Jackie Williams, but her layup is blocked and into the hands of Tristan O'Berry. O'Berry runs the floor. Floater in the lane is blocked by Hendley Welch and goes out of bounds across the baseline. So it'll be Atlantic to inbound. Down by 30, 64-34. Out high it comes to Israel. Right-hand corner, Vanessa Sprata takes a three, and it's too strong. And Mainland grabs the rebound. Tia Dobson across into the front court. She'll be guarded by O'Berry. Out high, switches it to her right hand. Circles to her right. Bounce pass finds Welch. Welch guarded by Israel. Welch splits a double team back to Grady. Straight on three is no good, but an offensive rebound is in and out of the hands of Dobbs, and then out of the hands of Welch, and then throwing it off Welch and out of bounds is Sprata, so the Sharks will have possession. Oh, they're going to call a foul. I'm not sure who that was on. As they're going to call it on Welch, as the stats keeper very nicely tells me. Now Welch will check out. That's her second foul. Bailey Cameron checks into the ballgame for the Sharks as Aliana Jones makes way. And at the line for a 1-and-1 is Vanessa Sprata. Sprata under a motion. It's high off the glass and in, so she'll get another one. (35-54) the score. Mainland over Atlantic. The second of a 1-and-1 is off the rim and no good. Into the hands of Hayley Brennan, who's checked back in for Mainland, as they've got the two center lineup now with the tall Williams and Brennan. Into the front court, a wild layup is no good from Dobson. Brown drags down the rebound and gets it to Yisrael. Yisrael across to O'Berry, and she crosses the timeline with 4:10 left to play in the game. O'Berry out high. Pick and thrown under the basket to Brown. Brown, baseline runner, is good off the glass and in. So Kamari Brown on the score sheet. She doesn't often see the floor, much less get on the score sheet, so a feather in her cap as Mainland prepares to make more changes with 3:45 to go. Isis Grady, left hand baseline drive, gets the lane and gets fouled. The bucket is no good, and she'll go to the line. And they're going to catch Cameron for the foul, her first. And Isis Grady's at the line. Her first one is no good. That's her second miss today. She's 3 of 5 so far, with her second one coming. A couple of changes from Mainland. James checks back in, as does Dobson, who just gone to the floor for a rest. 15 points for Grady to lead all scorers. And her second is up and good. She's now got 16, and it's 65-37. Into the front court, here's Yisrael. Vanessa Sprata works around a screen and gets the ball stripped by Dobson. Dobson fights to control it, but she does, and she'll stand just in front of the Atlantic logo and get it back from a long pass to the left-hand corner. Spinning in the lane is Grady, and her layup is no good. Taken on the rebound by Yisrael. Yisrael quickly across the timeline, 3 minutes to go. Yisrael, right-hand drive, floater in the lane is blocked by the tall, long Hayley Brennan. Stretch pass ahead, and an easy layup is in for James. James is up to 8 points, and the Mainland Buccaneers have 67, and the Sharks have some work to do in defending in transition at their next practice session. Brown drives the lane. Her layup is good. Kamari Brown has 4 points here in this fourth quarter. Sharks have averaged 46.5 points per game in this season. Grady, baseline passes over the head of Jamia Jackson. That'll be Sharks ball. Into the ball game for the second time is Kaylee Isaac, but she only played about 30 seconds of the third quarter. as they're going to try and match up Cameron with Brennan, I'm sure. We never got to see that matchup. The Sharks had 6 on the floor. Nobody knew who was supposed to check out. Yisrael now eventually heads to the bench. Full court press. Ball comes into Cameron. Bounce pass to O'Berry. O'Berry crosses the timeline. She drives, right-hand baseline, gets around Brennan. Her layup is no good, but Brennan drags home the rebound. Another long pass ahead, and in from James on the easy layup as nobody was back there. Another transition bucket for Mainland. Mainland hitting on all offensive cylinders. The center, Bailey Cameron, pulls up from 3. It's no good. Offensive rebound to Kylie Isaac. And it looks like they called a travel on Vanessa Sprata. So the lineup right now for the Sharks, it's O'Berry, Sprata, Kylie Isaac, Bailey Cameron, and Kamari Brown to close out the last 150. Isis Grady gets triple teamed, and an open look from the left-hand corner for James is no good. Skying for the rebound is O'Berry, and then a tie-up underneath the basket is going to go the way of Mainland. They've got the possession arrow. Checking in for Mainland is London Wilson, the freshman, up from the junior varsity team. She gets to play a little bit on the varsity squad tonight. 69-39, Bucks over the Sharks. 3 from the corner is good, but they're going to call traveling against Jamia Jackson before she got the shot off, and it won't count. Next in action for the Mainland Buccaneers is tomorrow night. They go to Orlando to play Bishop Moore, and then they're back home on the 19th for the Battle of the Best girls basketball teams in Volusia County against Spruce Creek. Another turnover as the pass intended for Cameron is taken away. Another long stretch pass for James. She lays it in. James has 12 points in the second half, and 8 of them are on those long stretch passes as she has run the floor faster than anybody wearing white and teal tonight. Full timeout call. We'll keep it right here for just a second as I run you down the upcoming schedule for the Atlantic girls basketball team. The 19th is the next time they'll be on our airwaves as the Oviedo Lions come across from the Orlando area to take on the Sharks. That's the 19th. Tip-off 6 p.m. Our coverage starts 5:55. As always, you can find MJT Sports Productions on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Then 2 away games. The Sharks are back up in the Jacksonville area to take on Menendez on the 22nd. And then they travel to face this very same Mainland team on the 25th. And that's what's coming up next for both teams. A minute 10 to go, 71-39. Mainland over Atlantic. O'Berry, almost over the head of Sprata. Sprata bounce pass right-hand corner, Kylie Isaac, and then Isaac almost loses out to Grady, but gets it to Cameron. Bounce pass almost picked off, but into the hands of O'Berry. O'Berry steps into a 3, and it's long, but the offensive rebound goes to Brown, and then she turns it over trying to get it to Isaac, and then tripping up is Grady. Losing the basketball, it's free, and a foul is going to be called, not sure on who, as there was a scramble for the basketball in front of the Mainland bench. And it's going to go against Neasia James, her third. 38 seconds to go, and it's going to be a 1-and-1 for Atlantic. Looks like the foul was against Tristan, or for rather, Tristan O'Berry. And O'Berry goes to the free throw line. O'Berry 7 points in the first half, but nothing doing in the second, as into the ball game for the first time comes freshman Cariana Rogers for Mainland as she gets to play out the last 38 seconds of action. 1+1, and the first one is on the way and good for O'Berry, and as I said, that's her first point of the second half. O'Berry into a windup, and it's too strong, but it hangs on the rim and eventually falls. Wow. Little bit of luck, and she's 2 for 2 from the line that time. 35 seconds left to go in the ball game. 30-point lead for Mainland, 71-41. Here's the freshman, Kiriana Rogers. She fires a three, and the bench was about to explode. Isis Grady gets the long rebound to the right-hand corner. It comes, three on the way, and it's good for Jamia Jackson. Her first three, for Jamia Jackson, her first three on the night. 12 seconds to go. Vanessa Sprata will dribble it out. She draws a double team near the three-point line, turns the ball over, running the floor and laying it in is Jamia Jackson. And that is that. Your final score, 76-41, Mainland over Atlantic. It's the largest margin of victory. It's the second largest margin of victory for Mainland this year, and it is the largest margin of defeat for Atlantic this year. We'll take 30 seconds, step aside, and be right back with your post-game stats and figures. This is MJT Sports Productions broadcast of Atlantic Sharks basketball. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Live from courtside, this is MJT Sports Productions broadcast of Atlantic Sharks girls basketball. Your final score, the Mainland Buccaneers 76, the Atlantic High School Sharks 41. And the Buccaneers were as advertised, one of the best teams of the state, legitimate state championship aspirations, multiple Division I college commits on their roster, and they delivered with a big win. Here are your scoring totals. First for Mainland. Leading the way with 19 points was Jamia Jackson. 16 points for the UNC Greensboro commit, Isis Grady. 12 points for Naasia James. 10 points for Tia Dobson. 11 points for Hayley Brennan. 6 points for Hendley Welch. And 3 points for Bella Montesano. And for the Atlantic Sharks, their leading scorer was Tristan O'Berry with 9. Ishai Israel and Kiana Bean both had 8. Aliana Jones had 6. Kamari Brown had 4. Lindsay St. Jean had 3. And Vanessa Sprata just the 1. Once again, your final score, 76-41. Atlantic falls to Mainland here tonight at the Shark Tank. Our next broadcast is the 19th of January, right here from courtside, as the girls basketball team will be back in action to take on the Oviedo Lions. Until then, I have been Michael Girillo saying so long and have a very pleasant good evening. Good night.